Gibbs, driver of the 13 Mitigator Ford Fusion. I'd like to thank you for listening to Let's Talk Racing.tv.
Driver of the number 5 Kiker Motorsports Camry. Welcome to Let's Talk Racing TV.
With Rockingham Speedway. Thanks for listening to Let's Talk Racing.
I'm Tony Peter, driver of the number 17 Toyota in the NASCAR Camp World Truck Series, and you're listening to Let's Talk Racing. Hey guys, I'm Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bain, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing.
Welcome everybody to Let's Talk Racing. Got Tommy, Tacy, and myself, Roger Brehm, sitting here side by side in case you're not watching. And we're going to try to have a little fun with everybody we have on the show tonight. We've got, I forgot who it was already. No, Brehm Morehouse, one of the NASCAR officials, keep up with what's going on. Terry O'Connell, she's got over 500 wins in her racing career. She's now running out at Knoxville, Iowa. Just getting ready to run the Knoxville Nationals next week, which I will be there for. We'll be broadcasting almost, I think, every day, three times a day.
Busy week.
Yeah. Here I was hoping to have like a mini vacation, but nah, it's gonna be all work. Looks like we have something like it before race, and then we'll have something after race. Something like I think 4:30, and the other one's like 11:30 or something like that. The other one I think is like lunchtime area. Apparently, we're going to get a whole bunch of people lined up. A lot of people we've had on the show calling in, we'll be able to have them right there live. Brad Doty, Schatz, Sosky, Swindell.
Sweet.
Kyle Larson will be out there too. He was out there running last week. R.J. Johnson will be out there. Of course, Terry will be out there. So we'll have some fun. Meet a whole bunch of people. Even be doing the shirt giveaway.
Sweet.
Sweet. Got a whole case of them. Even got some new ones made up. Ta-da, ta-da. So, we got the Dinger is now doing his road to recovery.
Yeah.
Still haven't heard anything exactly what what was tripped it. All they would say was amphetamines. Did you go to the races, Langley, last weekend?
Did not make it, no.
Did not make it?
Sorry.
Hey, what is up with this? You're usually there all the time.
I've had to work now, so.
Oh, blame it on work. I see.
Priorities.
Well, I heard it was right rambunctious out there.
The feud's still going on, basically.
From what I heard, when Greg drove into the inspection area, he got out of the car. He was hot and fuming and ready to throw down on somebody. That person didn't go there straight away. What do you think? Let's see, what else we got going on here? Uh-oh, the Dinger got released by Penske.
Ouch.
The test for the 2013 cars is out. Can't believe that. Announced it today that he has been released as driver of the 22 since he was suspended indefinitely by NASCAR. decision to dismiss him is consistent with how we would treat any of our other Penske Racing Team member under similar circumstances. As he begins the road to recovery, we wish him the best and look forward to seeing him compete again in NASCAR. Sam Hornish will drive at Pocono this weekend and for the foreseeable future. And Penske will evaluate its options for a driver of the 22 car for the 2013. Of course, Roger's been having his phone ringing off the hook, I've heard.
Yeah.
me. Of course, there's a statement from Allmendinger. Wants to thank all the fans who have been awesome through this. He apologizes for the distraction, embarrassment, and difficulties with his current suspension. He's begun the road to recovery and look forward to using those resources and its completion to compete again in NASCAR in the near future. And Shell and Pennzoil fully support, yada, 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 yada. Of course, they wish AJ the best as he goes through his recovery program. I tell you. Bobby Labonte's got another crew chief, Brian Burns. He's going to use that for Pocono. So let's see here. Ooh, they're going to put fiber optic cable networks at ISC tracks. Ooh, whoopee. Like that's going to affect us any?
Nope.
So, now here's a question for you. What are the top 10 collectible diecast out there?
Yeah.
This is action racing stuff, though.
Yeah.
Number 1,
Junior.
with the number 88 Diet Mountain Dew, The Dark Knight Rises, Chevy Impala. Believe it or not, Earnhardt Sr., 1989, number 3 Goodwrench Chevy Monte Carlo is second. Tony Stewart, third. That's the championship Chevy Impala.
Mm-hmm.
Then fourth is Seniors 89, number 3 Goodwrench Lumina. Matt Kenseth, number 17 Best Buy Ford Fusion. Juniors, number 88 Amp Energy Chevy on Impala.
Yeah.
Comes in 6th. Richard Petty's hanging in there at 7, 1986. Number 6, STP Chevy Monte Carlo. It don't sound right. When did he have a number 6?
Might.
86.
Yeah. Something looks like a typo.
Somebody hosed it up at Action. Mark Martin's number 55. Dale Jr.'s 88 National Guard. NASCAR Unites Chevrolet Impala. And then the Amp Energy 711 Chevrolet Impala. Junior's got a lot of those wrapped up in there, ain't he?
Yeah.
But anywho, that was some of the things released today. What's going on in Nationwide? Mike, I can tell you Mike Wallace's JD Motorsports, they're redoing their web pages and Facebook appearances and all that other stuff to let people know about that. So I've been getting a lot of stuff being sent to me for updating that. We've been actually looking at maybe doing a Flash website.
Okay.
Be ahead of the groove of everybody else. They've got a new Facebook page because when the original was set up, it was set off of somebody else's profile, and the limit of 5,000 applied.
Yeah.
So they said, okay, we're going to do a whole new actual group instead of a page, which has unlimited likes that they can do, which is good. What's happening nationwide? Now let's see. Iowa Speedway got 4 cars registered there. Speaking of JD Motorsports, instead of Danny Eflin, they're going to have Daryl Haar in the number 4 car. Mike Wallace will still be in the 01. Carl Long be out there to number 15. Josh Richards in the 08. Ryan Blaney will run his first race in the Penske number 22. Jason Leffler drives the 30. John Blankenship will drive the TriStar number 44. Mike Bliss will move to the number 10, and Jeff Green will be in the number 91. And then Justin Jennings will drive the number 52. And then we're going to have a change on Carl Long already. Timmy Hill's going to go to the number 15. Carl's going to go to the 71. That means Dusty Davis will drive the number 41, and the 75 of Rick Ware has withdrawn. Scott Saunders will drive the number 24 Toyota. Whew.
Pinballs.
I tell you, that's a day-by-day change around if I've seen one. What else is happening? Carl Edwards is going to run a nationwide race at Watkins Glen. Paludo is to drive for Turner at Watkins Glen. Apparently they had about 2 million people watching. This is interesting. Let's talk racing. Hey, I was just getting ready to text you to make sure you had the number.
So,
You're in the car.
yeah, last time, remember you called me, I was at dinner and everything else, and that's all I had was that number, and I had to keep on going through my phone to get another one.
Well, good deal. We were just sitting here looking at the latest news on J-Ski, get people up to speed with everything. We just saw that Dinger got released.
Yeah, he got released about 10 o'clock this morning.
Oh, poor guy. Did they ever find out, other than the fact that he tested positive for amphetamine?
What, are you talking about narrowing it down?
Yeah.
Not that I've heard. Are we on the radio?
No, we're on TV.
We're on
I'm going to get people straight. Everybody's used to everybody calling into these radio shows. We do TV.
I hear you. No, I mean, from what I understand, he's basically failed the drug test, and, he's doing the road to recovery, and, I mean, he's got a good attitude about it and everything, so hopefully in due time maybe things will come out, we'll find more out about it.
I mean, it's just such a surprise because everybody was really surprised. And
Great guy. I did a bowling tournament with him about last year around Martinsville time for breast cancer awareness for it being breast cancer month. I met him, and he's such a great guy. I mean, things like this can happen to people, So, I hate to sit here and see anybody judge a character like that, but as for a person, I tell you, he's 110%.
Yeah, just everybody I've talked to, that knew him, they were just surprised. But the thing too, I also heard that the level was like nanograms
Yeah.
off. That's like Mike Phelps's race last night on the Olympics. It was he just happened to be in the wrong part of the stroke and missed it. Like some of the races are 0.005 of a second type thing. And so, and a nanogram is so freaking small. I mean, you couldn't even feel it in between your fingers.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, I mean, there's so many things that, people have said and everything, but, like I said, I mean, I think he's handled it real good. I think he's still got a great future ahead of him. I mean, he was my bet this year to be the surprise to win a race or two.
Yeah.
He was inching closer and closer to it. So I think with his attitude and his personality and everything, I think that AJ will, hopefully bounce one back. He seems like a very, very good guy.
Yeah. By the way, everybody, we have Brian Morehouse on the line here, our inside scoop on the NASCAR official side of the world. He's that good/bad guy. Good guy, he keeps everybody honest, legal, and safe. Bad guys when he goes after the guys that want to cheat. Nobody'd want to do that, would they, Brian?
And nobody cheats in racing, do they?
No.
I mean, I had a guy tell me one time that's the reason he goes to church on Sundays. But no, I mean, like you said, we've been talking earlier about it and everything. I mean, even when it comes to racing, I mean, sometimes like when people cheat, I mean, sometimes they take that rule book and they just try to push that gray area just a little bit, and at times they push it just a little too far, and that's what gets them caught on the other side of the railroad track.
Oh yeah, I mean it's understandable. It happens in almost every walk of life, things like that. I mean,
yes, I mean we've both been racers, and we know what it feels like to sit in the seat. And when you get in there, you want to be able to get everything that you can out of that car, and you want to push everything to the limit. And it's just like speed. I mean, we all know it's 55, but sometimes, have you ever heard when we're traveling, we say, well, you never go over 7 or 8 miles per hour. So we know we're pushing the limits. So when we do get maybe pulled, God, this will be my luck. I'll get pulled by some state trooper next. Yeah, you're the guy with a smart mouth now. But anyway, we push it to the limit, and sometimes that's what happens when racers and everything, are really crew chiefs. Let's go ahead and say crew chiefs, because they're the ones that are head of the car, and they're the ones that make the decisions. There you got it.
I've tried it myself. I've gone out there and pushed the envelope there, and the officials noticed something, but they could not figure out what it was.
Right.
And I told them, I said, you tell me what you think it is, I'll pull it off the car and replace it.
Well, if you ever notice, some of your officials, it usually looks like we're doing nothing. I've been told that. A bunch of my friends came to Martinsville, and they were like, man, you worked a whole 3 minutes. I was like, it's the 3 minutes that count. The rest of it, I was standing there and everything else. But if you ever notice, a lot of times in practice, some of your tech guys will stand in the corners, and they'll be listening to the car, whether, you're accelerating or, how you're going into the corner and watching and everything to be able to tell, a little bit of difference with the shock package and, the way you got your car set up and everything. I've noticed a lot of guys with the tracks that we go to, the short track guys, they will, the officials will get out there in their corners. People are just thinking, well, they're doing nothing. They're really trying to study on what's going on and maybe something to look at later on in the night.
Yeah, there's been some times that, I mean, just even at races I've gone to, I'll sit there and watch and say that car has definitely got cheated up, and then a half a year later, all of a sudden they finally bust them for what I had seen. Right.
Well, sometimes you can look at a car like that. Sometimes it takes a lot of studying it. I mean, what was the old saying years ago when I was out in Langley? Racers got all week to cheat. The officials got 1 hour to find it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the truth in some regards, but, you got to take that with a grain of salt. And everything's always looked at. So don't ever think when the official comes by he's not looking at something. It's not that he's trying to find anything. It's just sometimes things are obvious, and sometimes they're not so obvious.
Yeah.
Where are you going next week? I've been reading Facebook and everything. You're going Knoxville?
Yeah, I'm going up to the Knoxville Nationals.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I think...
3-day event?
Huh?
3-day event?
What's that, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 4-day event.
Man, goodness gracious.
Yeah, we're supposed to be doing a show from a place called the Down Under something. It's right across the street from the track, like 3 shows a day from there.
Really?
Yeah.
Sounds like a great time, man.
I was hoping to go relax. They got me doing all this stuff, pre-race, after race, and
really,
sometime around lunchtime, I think. I'd have to look it all back up. The timing was on it.
Well, that's awesome. So you looking forward to heading on up there Enjoying the time away?
It'll be different. A little bit of relaxed time.
I hear you.
My daughter, it's going to drive her crazy, and she doesn't like doing the
goes into a race day.
and she's not.
And I heard a fan tell me one time, they were like, well, I don't understand why that, track does this and that. I mean, they can open up at 4 o'clock and start selling hamburgers. More that goes into it than that. And ask any promoter, and you think about it, and you know this yourself. Sometimes you're there at 6 a.m. You don't leave till 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. And that's a long day, 18, 19 hours of total working out in that heat. There's a lot that goes into a day of preparation for a race or even practice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, them long days really get to you. So 4 days of it, man. Good luck to you.
The bad part is I'm driving the whole way.
Oh,
So that's 18, 19 hours up, 18, 19 hours back.
my goodness. So you got a good week's worth of work ahead of you then.
Just about. But I don't mind driving. During the daytime, I enjoy it. I like to check out the scenery and everything. And fortunately, most of it I'll see after I get out of the mountains will be all flat land of drought corn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I usually like when we end up leaving to go somewhere. I usually like to leave about 1 in the morning, and then I end up driving 5 or 6 hours, and I'm there at 7 o'clock in the morning. A lot of people look at me and they're like, "Man, you're weird for doing that." But then again, I'm the guy that gets on a plane. I'm the first one to try to get to my seat. It's always a window seat, and I'm gone. I'm asleep. Takes off. So. Not unless, I got somebody that wants to sit there and talk to me, and then I try to act like, I'm, not very smart, and then they won't, which isn't hard. I mean, that's not hard to do with Brehm Morehouse. So,
Yeah, right.
so I just usually just try to go to sleep, and, man, then I wake up, I feel good. So I'm the only person I know that can fall asleep on a plane before it ever takes off. So I love sleeping on a plane.
No.
And I had plenty of that this weekend because I flew up to New York, was going to go to Riverhead, and our flights got canceled Friday night. So the race was Saturday.
Oh, shit.
Then the next morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, flights were still getting canceled. Got up in the air. They ended up having a rainstorm come through Riverhead up in the Long Island part of New York, and they canceled the race. And at that time, your cell phone's off. Nobody can call you and tell you to turn around. So when we landed, of course, I had many text messages telling me that we were canceled. There was another flight taking me somewhere else. So I had a whole day of flights.
Which way do I go? Which way do I go?
Oh, yeah. Well, I know one way. First thing I'm going to do, and you know me, I'm going to eat. So that was one thing I had to get in the right direction to. Nothing like airport food. Then heading on back, trying to get back home. So, quite interesting.
What was it? The choice was to fly commercial. The sad part was with the flying commercial was all the extra fees I was going to wind up with when I started packing everything in to take up there.
Yeah.
By that time, it was already, to drive up there and back, the price of gas was cheaper than the ticket.
Uh-huh.
And so if I added all the other stuff on there, it was going to get worse.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you think about it, and sometimes you end up flying, and it's like you got a 3 or 4 hour layover. Sometimes it's almost better just to drive it. Okay?
Yeah.
So I've ran into a couple of situations like that. Luckily, here lately in the last 3 months, I've been very lucky. I don't know, I must be living right or something, but it's like when we're flying to go to a race, I got about a 45-minute layover, and I'm already on the next plane heading on. So I've really been hitting that lucky now. Probably just, other than that, hopefully I'll still get those lucky flights.
Yeah. The other option, too, a friend of mine, he has his own plane, and we were talking about possibly flying up on that, but once again, gas on that's going to run probably about $1,000.
Yeah.
So.
Everybody thinks that, a lot of these racers, they do. Either they'll either drive it like from here in Charlotte to Martinsville or wherever, but majority of them end up flying. And those private planes, it costs a lot of money
Yeah.
to be able to use those things when you're talking about maintenance and things like that. So so much more that goes into things than what we really realize. We look at things and we're like, oh, they're so lucky to have their own plane, but they don't sometimes realize the headaches that are involved with it too.
Yeah, every so many hours on the engine, you got to have it gone through, and
Got to have it looked over, refreshed, and maintenance done.
oh yeah,
Yay, everything else. So it's really something.
and it's always something. It all has to be documented and everything else. The biggest thing, of course, is the cost of the fuel. If you're flying by jet, it's a good big expense. I mean, granted, if you're taking a private plane, a jet, and you're flying 3 cars teams or something like that on it, it's going to be a whole lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So at that level, it works out pretty good for you.
I tell you what, talking about teams, I was coming down the road today. I saw the boys are heading on up to Pocono. I guess they'll be open in the garage tomorrow morning. I hadn't even looked at the schedule, but I saw all the haulers. They were heading on up 77.
Yep.
Trip on up there to the Poconos. So should be a good weekend of racing. But one thing I wanted to talk about with y'all guys was Southern Modifieds are coming to your area Labor Day weekend, less than a month away.
There you go.
We're really looking forward to that. Our car counts have really been high. The racing has been great. This weekend we're at Bowman Gray, which everybody knows Bowman Gray is the madhouse. So the only short track I've ever seen where you can pack about 15 to 17,000 people in. And when I say they get it every weekend. The first time I ever went to that track, guys told me we had taken an off weekend, and I wanted to see the track before we went there. And we showed up about 2 hours before the race started. I'm thinking, what are we doing here? And one of the guys that was on the tour with us said, listen, you got to get here early and get a good seat. I'm thinking, it's short track racing, man. 3,000 to 4,000 people, okay. I could not believe this at 7 o'clock when that place got packed.
That's good.
Called the madhouse. So we're Southern Modifieds are there this weekend, and our K&N East-West combos out there in Iowa.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever been to Iowa. Iowa is a beautiful track. Rusty Wallace had a lot of involvement in designing that track. Been out there a couple of times, and it's really nice. And the weather's always nice out there, but we're really looking forward to getting this weekend done. Then we end up doing a race at Bristol with the north-south mods. Always a big turnout for that. And then after that, we head on down there to Hampton, Virginia, and looking forward to having just as good a show as K&N East did. K&N really put on a great show back in June.
Good deal.
Things are looking good. Our racing has been great, and we've been having what a lot of people haven't noticed is, if you've been coming out to the race, you've noticed it, but a halfway break. With 150 lappers, 75 laps, we bring them in, let them work on the cars for 3 minutes, and that has really, in my eyes, really has put on some great racing, and a lot of passing, and a lot of entertainment for the fans on the stand.
Yeah. So, 2 questions for you. First one, did you catch the thing with Elliott Sadler at Nationwide?
This past weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was in flight, but I didn't. I got to see the replays of it and everything, and I saw what happened. And one of the rules is the leader will take control and start the race back to the line, and I think Elliott sort of got caught up in that.
Right. There were so many factors that came together. The leader of the race got hit from the back end, and he lost traction, so he let off and a little bit, and
Elliott was being pushed a little bit.
At the same time, Elliott's being pushed ahead, and they're on big speedway, and so they don't have the big brakes on there. So if they go to tap the brakes, it's only going to slow them down just a tad bit. But it was just one of those things that did quick. I don't see why they just didn't throw a yellow and reline them back up.
You know, it's hard for me to say. I mean, I've never worked out of the tower. Guys are nothing but 100% professionals. Evidently, they saw something, and don't ever think that they don't review anything. They review. They got cameras all over the place and are constantly looking things over, and they do a great job. You know, it's hard for me to comment on something like that. I wasn't there. I wasn't up in the tower. I saw what I saw on TV, and I know it's a hard thing to be able to take. Hopefully, Elliott will bounce back this weekend and be able to run the pack and be able to bring a win home. He's had a really good year this year, and he's done really good coming out of the Cup scene and going nationwide. I think he's really helped his career out a lot on a personal note.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's, you know, Elliott's always had a lot of talent. I mean, you remember the days when him and his brother were tearing up the tracks in Virginia.
Oh, yeah. Him and Hermie.
I mean, so I'm really glad for his sake that he's really bouncing back. He's a good guy and a great competitor.
Yeah. How's everybody give a report card on Joe Scarborough in the mod division there?
I tell you what, Joe Scarborough, that's a great team. You know, they came on board with the Southern Modifieds this year, and I talked to them throughout the whole winter because I do the safety portion of everything for the Southern Mods, and that crew wanted to make sure that everything was 100%, and that they were doing what they needed to do to satisfy the rule book, and if they had a question, they would call me at 9:30 at night, and you always respect a competitor like that. And I'm going to tell you what, Joe, you know, like any rookie, I mean, Joe's had his hard times and everything, but he's a good racer. You know, he's come a long way since the first race at Caraway, and I think Joe's going to be something to really look at. You know, he's put a lot of laps around Langley Speedway.
Yeah.
He may be like a Thomas Stinson. Thomas last year really had a, you know, great year, and he had an older car. And he was coming out there and really putting on one heck of a show, finishing in the top 5 almost every week until he had some motor problems.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to being able to see Joe Scarborough, Thomas Stinson, and them guys back on what I consider, you know, one of their home tracks with these Southern Modified guys.
Yeah. Maybe they can turn around and put a whooping on them.
Yeah. You know, I mean, Thomas Stinson's capable. You know, he's got a lot of laps around there. Him and guys like Sean Beluzzo, and you know, they've been out there being very competitive, and I think that Stinson, Scarborough, and we got quite a few guys that are really doing really good with the Southern Modifieds. I think you're going to hear a lot of, and it's going to be worth coming out and seeing Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, you ever miss being back in the saddle?
At Langley?
Anywhere?
Yeah, I do. I like. You know, I hope nobody's listening that's going to end up cutting me out, but I really like short track racing. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you know, Cup racing and nationwide, I like it, but it's something about short track racing that you get to talk to the fans, you get to, you know, really interact with them and everything else before the race, after the race. I mean, because you know the days out at Langley, as soon as the race was over with, you put on a polo shirt and your shorts, and you went to Anna's.
That's right.
Half the crew.
Yeah.
You know, some people would have things to say, like, you know, that's not right, but hey, officials got to eat too. So, but you know, when you get to the track, and this is like anywhere, when you get to the track, I mean, you got to put those friendships to the side, and you got to do your job. And sometimes that's you know, maybe telling one of your buddies, hey man, this isn't right. You're going to start in the rear, or you're going to have to do this, or you're going to have to do that. But yeah, I keep up with Langley quite a bit. Well, I keep up with all the short track races quite a bit. And there's times that I do miss it. Best buddy of mine, Bill Mullis, now owns the track. Before I came down here to get on with NASCAR, me and Bill sat in his driveway, and we were talking about Langley and, you know, things that maybe it needed and everything else. And a couple of years later, Bill jumped right in there and brought in a good management team. Chuck Hall does a great job. I grew up with Chuck at Langley, it seems like. And you know, I'm glad to see things are really doing good for them. And like I said, I'm glad to see that they've got NASCAR and they've got, you know, NASCAR races coming in. And, you know, their late model division is really great. I heard so many friends of mine text me this week telling me about going to Langley. We're going to Langley this weekend for the Hampton Heat 200. Well, about 1 o'clock in the morning, my phone's just, burning up. People texting saying, "Oh, man, we had a great time. This was awesome." Blah, 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 blah. People that normally didn't go race.
Yeah, I had a lot of people tell me it was a really good race night.
It was.
Hampton Heat was definitely hot.
Yeah, but I heard the action was good. I heard a guy won it that had never raced there before.
Yeah.
I heard that the competitors that normally race there was a lot of stiff competition. With Steve Fogg, Greg Edwards, and then I heard Mark Wirtz. I just found this out about a week or two ago. Mark Wirtz isn't racing right now due to an injury.
Yeah, he did something to his foot. He had Peyton Sellers racing the car.
Yeah.
They blew an engine on one of the practice days, so they had to go take and get a new engine for it.
Really?
And I forget, something else broke during practice, and then they had other issues during the race too. It's poor Peyton. It seemed like a target got painted on his back all of a sudden.
Really? Well, Peyton's raced a couple of times down there at Langley, and then of course Tacy I heard he was there, and I heard it was a real good race. I guess they had a halfway point from what I was told, and first half, second half of the race, all the way around, it was really enjoyable. People said it was really something to see. And then I ended up, of course, being from Virginia, had to ask how hot and humid it was, but I heard it was a really good night for racing.
Yeah.
I heard it wasn't really too bad. It cooled off a little bit, and I was glad to see that, and no chance of rain, so that's always a good thing.
What I used to remember, and I do miss, but I know it cost a lot for sponsorship to do it, was when they used to do the 400 lap races out there.
We were sitting around eating the other night. We were talking about, the 400 lappers with, I remember the days with Sonny Hutchins, Tommy Ellis, Bill Dennis, and guys like that doing a 400 lapper out there back in the 80s. And it seemed like a long event, but it was pretty daggone entertaining. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yes.
Interest and everything. We were talking about that. Really, I think we were saying it was 300 laps that we remember, and all the type of talent that used to come around from Virginia, from all over.
Yeah.
North Carolina, South Carolina, and everything else. I mean, you had guys that were driving all the way up, like Butch Lindley and guys like that. Those were nice. And I tell you something else I really miss. People think I'm crazy for saying it. I miss the enduro race.
Oh, the regular style enduro, not the way they do it nowadays.
Man, those were awesome. It was nothing for us to be sitting around when I was down there and I was in the shipyard. Somebody'd come up and say somebody had an old car, and we'd be like, man, we could take that out, put a cage in there, and a week later, you're out there racing.
Oh, yeah.
Prettiest thing, but you had a lot of fun in it, and everybody had a good time putting the car together. I remember one time we had a friend, a female, she wanted to race up there at Saluda, and we all got together and painted her car pink for her. Went out there, I think it was a 200 lapper, and she did like 188 laps or something. She was 12 laps down and finished like 9th.
Yeah.
The thing is, she had a ball. Great.
Oh yeah, I mean it's fun out there in enduros. I've raced in them. I've watched them. I haven't decided which is more fun. Watching everything goes on. I mean, of course, when we were doing it your car count was in around 100.
100, yeah. I remember one year my number was 108.
Yeah, I remember seeing when they had up about 120 cars on there. I mean, the front was sitting on the start-finish line, and the last cars were sitting at turn 1.
Yeah. And, the Night of Destruction that Langley puts on, I've seen a couple of tracks are starting to really get into that and, do something different besides the weekly racing on Saturday night. And Bill and Chuck have that for Langley at the end of the year. I really enjoy coming out there and seeing that when I'm in town. I did that a couple of years ago. It's usually getting cold about that time, but they have like an enduro, and they put the water out there with soap in it and everything.
Yeah, in the barrels, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like, okay, now this is really getting interesting. But that's usually a good night to be able to take the family out and be able to see something with different things. The only thing I haven't really got to see is the chain race. I haven't seen one of those yet. One year that I was working out there, they had the blindfold race.
Oh yeah, the bag race thing or something.
Yeah.
Buddy, I'll never sit in the pits again.
Oh God, yes. That's...
I have been scared in my life with little teeny things, and usually it's my fault. But I had no fault of this. I was standing on the back of a wrecker, watching everything, and here comes a car right at me. And I think I was standing on the back of the wrecker with Chris Lemons, and I went one way, he went the other, and I wasn't checking where he was because I was falling butt. I was actually scared.
I remember when I was running late models in the 90s, they had an enduro race after everything else had run. We still had our cars down on pit road and everything.
Uh-huh.
And oh my God, they almost took out one of the late model cars. Somebody got tapped and shot across that little jump and almost took out one at the very end.
You're kidding.
Oh geez, it was hilarious though. I mean, you get out there, as long as you got the car set up good, you're not really traveling super fast, and everything's going to crunch and crumble the way they're designed to in a regular car anyway.
Uh-huh.
The biggest thing you got to worry about is make sure you got the right tires on there. I mean, we went out and got state trooper tires that had the 6 plies.
Right. And you got to stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
With an enduro, the one thing I learned, you know, a lot of times everybody's worried about what's in front of them. Well, sometimes you got to worry about what's in back of you.
Yeah, if they tap you, turn you around, you're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a guy that used to go around and do all the enduros. And he ended up, I think, going late model one year. His name was Bubba Johnson.
Yep.
He used to race down in Southampton. And I think he did some Langley. And, of course, when I was up there at Virginia Raceway, known as Pluto Raceway, he used to go around. He had a car that he used to enter in every one. And I've seen him race the same car probably about 7 times. And he was doing pretty good with winning $1,000 here, $1,500 here. You know, that was pretty interesting to be able to see him do something like that.
They get paid better than late model drivers were.
Huh?
I said those guys were getting paid better than the late model drivers were.
Yeah, and not putting as much money into it. So, but you know what? I think you should have an oldies show, man. Get a bunch of the old racers. I think Bill Dennis is still around, isn't he?
We did do an oldies night. We did it at the NASCAR Sports Grill.
Did you really?
Yep, It was 3 hours long.
Oh my goodness!
And would have kept on going if we didn't say, all right, we got to get going. You know, it's been 3 hours.
One of the favorite things I like to do when I go back to Langley is, go up and look at all the old programs.
Yeah.
From years back. I'm not talking about laughing at the hairstyles or people wearing checkered pants. That was the style back then, but just seeing how cars were built, and how far they've come along without cutting out the fender wells, doing all this, and how safety. I mean, you look in, they got this little teeny window net.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you look at how much money is spent on safety to be able to make sure they return home every night after a race. And it's just so weird to be able to see everything progress from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. It's really interesting to be able to see all that.
Yeah, I'm still trying to find a video, if anybody ever shot a video when I flew in the air over top Mike Connors one night.
Huh?
On the front stretch, me and Mike Connors got together, and I flew over top of his car and landed on the top of him.
Uh-huh.
And I still have not found anybody that got the video of that.
Really? See, there's another name. Me and Mike went to school together. We're in government class, and at that time I was going up to Saluda. We sat there for almost a whole year, and I didn't even know he was racing.
Oh, goodness.
Not common, but we never talked about it like that. I think he was the old number 9, wasn't he?
Yep.
Yep.
Drove around the orange car.
Yeah. And then he ended up racing out in Southampton and for a while. That was another good track with Southampton. I mean, he's got a lot of good tracks. I mean, I grew up around Southside, grew up, of course, at Langley. But, between dirt tracks and, you got Southampton, you got Virginia Raceway, and places like that, there's a lot of action, a lot of places to be able to go on different weekends to be able to see races.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd sometimes put another driver in my car, in my late model, and let them run out there at Southampton.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, Southampton was a good track. I've always heard people say, it was ahead of its time by being built where it was built at.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I really agree with that, because I used to feel that way about Saluda. And everybody, our car counts were decent. They weren't bad for All-American and the late model and stuff. But once Bill Sawyer came in and he was able to pour some money into the track, man, I've been up there, and that place is spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Musco lighting, awesome grandstands. The bathrooms are nice. The concessions are nice. I mean, he's really taken the time and really poured a lot of time and effort into that track to be able to make it what it is today. And they draw people from, when I look at their score sheets, they draw people from Maryland. I've seen people from West Virginia, all over Virginia, down into the Carolinas, and I'm talking like on a weekly basis. So it's really cool to be able to see, that track doing as good as it is.
Well, I mean, I tell you what, it's all good. I would love to get that one back on the schedule for people to run at again. Southampton's apparently still holding up their own. I mean, Southside, excuse me.
Yeah, I've heard that they've been doing really good, which is really, really nice, because they had to shut down for a year. And, of course, they opened back up, and the racers were true to their track. They stayed there with it. Another great track in the Virginia area, of course, is South Boston. There's so much history there.
Yeah.
And they've Mrs. Rice and that whole gang really puts on. When we come into town, they really make us feel great.
Yeah, Kathy's a good lady.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and everybody there, all their officials and tech guys that we have to work with, just great to work with. And they do pretty good. And I'm glad to see that. There's just so much history out of South Boston. I remember South Boston used to hold some Sunday races, and we would get done at Langley on Saturday night and hop into a truck, usually a dually, and drive on down to South Boston and be ready the next day. So I miss those days, but then again, I'm starting to get older. Maybe I don't miss them. Maybe I'm just talking. Hey, it's weird. I mean, nowadays, I need that 6 hours sleep and everything else. I mean, you used to be able to sleep in a truck and you'd be okay and go racing somewhere else the next day. Now it's like, I like to have my own bed. I like to have 6 hours sleep, but you don't normally get it when you're in the racing business.
I tell you, yeah, you could almost, in this area, do a race on a Friday night, turn around, do a race on a Saturday night, and sometimes catch a race on a Sunday.
Good, and I remember the days when drivers used to do that. I mean, I know racing was so much different back then. I mean, you take, and I know I mentioned these guys a lot, but this is where my memories come from. The Butch Lindley, one of the nicest guys I think I'll ever meet in my lifetime. He was such a talented driver from when, I was a kid and I really looked up to him. But being a fan and being a young kid, he always made you feel important. The Randy Hutchins, the Sonny Hutchins, my favorite, Tommy Ellis. Tommy Ellis didn't care who he was going to go through, but he was going to get that trophy one way or another.
Yeah.
A lot of talent. Of course, he went on off to Busch Grand National Series, and the guys like Elton Sawyer. I mean, they started off at Langley, and they went on into Busch. And it's really weird to be able to see some of the guys start off there at Langley and be able to move up the ranks into those higher divisions.
That is where it's all at, is to get out there, do it, and build up the fan base, and of course that helps out the tracks too. Oh,
it does. But I don't want to take anything away from some of the other drivers. I mean, that we're not even talking about. A lot of times in racing, and this is my feeling, you got 100 Jeff Gordons out there. It's that one Jeff Gordon that gets noticed.
Yep.
Right? And it's really tough because a lot of people, they put everything they've got into a race car because that's the sport that they love.
Right.
And it's all being in the right place at the right time and the right things happening to you. And maybe some sponsor coming up with the money because it's all off of sponsor dollars. I mean, you know how hard it is to race on your own money.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes it can really drain you. I've seen it happen to a lot of people. You know, racing is like a, I don't want to say it's like a, almost like a drug in a way. You know, I guess.
An addiction.
You want to be able to do it. And
I want to race.
right now,
I said, I want to race.
yeah, but I mean, I don't want to compare it to something like that because there's kids out there. But it's like football, basically. You know, a lot of people get into football and they do everything they can to get noticed and what college to go to and things like that. Where with racing, I mean, it's the same mentality, you know, and it's all about getting noticed and about getting press and positive press. And, you know, the right sponsorship behind you to take you to the next level.
Yeah. I mean, it's like CE. He got to go out and do what was it? Did he do another Arizona race, was it, just recently? Or no, where did he go race at? Trucks.
The trucks?
Yeah, CE just recently was in one of the trucks here the past couple of races.
They were out in Iowa a couple weeks ago.
That must have been where it was.
Now, who he's seen race?
CE, Falk.
Yeah. And, you know, I was there at, and this was something else I'm really glad of. Steve's a really great guy. I mean, all of them guys in the late model, Greg Edwards, Danny, all of them. And, you know, Danny's had his share. He jumped on into Busch Grand National back in early 2000s, maybe late 90s. Greg did the ASA. And
Yep.
CE, I was there at Martinsville, and I was really, you know, when you got a race weekend going on, you're not looking over the rosters like a fan would, saying, oh, look who's racing. Man, I know guys by number. You know, here comes number 99, here comes such and such. Well, all of a sudden I heard the name C.E. Fogg, and I was like, that dude races out in Langley. And I got to talking to one of the guys, he's like, he's racing here this weekend. And I was like, dude, man, I remember that guy when he was in Legends cars.
Yep.
You know, so it was cool to be able to, you know, see him get out there and race. You know, I know y'all always ask me what my favorite track is. The other night we were sitting around talking. I think I've changed my favorite track, man. I think on the Cup circuit, it's got to be Martinsville. It's something about Martinsville. After doing it this past spring, spring, it was something about that place. And when Junior takes the lead there, it just erupts. And you keep paying attention because you almost think you're getting bombed or something.
I mean, right now he's sitting pretty. He's sitting lead in the points. All he's got to do is keep running decent, and he'll stay there.
I tell you what, like you said, if he runs consistent, you know, he's going to show that he can win, like he did at Michigan. The consistency, he's in a great car with a great organization with the Hendricks. I think that you never know. I think that would really be great for him to be able to pull down a championship this year.
I tell you what, it's. I mean, the Junior Nation, they're loving it.
Oh yeah, I mean, you look at it. If you look at it, you're starting to see more and more junior wear out there, hats, everything else. So I'm telling you, he won at Michigan. He did a great job there. I think he's got another one or two of them in him, and he's got a great crew behind him, and of course a great organization. So who knows? He may have more than that.
Yeah, we were before you got on. We had just finished going through the top 10 cars that Action was selling.
Uh-huh.
Out of the top 10, at least 4 of them were Dale Jr. cars.
Really?
One way, short form, or another.
If you look at it, I've only seen this 2 or 3 times. Had the opportunity to either go out to registration or something like that, and look over and notice his lines for his souvenir trailers are just long.
Yeah.
And you just look and you're like, wow. You know, he does. He grabs a lot of attention. A lot of people really like him. You know, he's a good driver. I think he's got a lot of talent. I think he's got a lot of. I think it's hard to follow in someone's footsteps like that.
Yeah.
And but I really wish him the best. I tell you what, he's got a lot of talent. Hopefully, be a good chase this year, and everything will go good. And man, you couldn't have gotten no better than last year with Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart. Now that really put me in a bad mind because, as you know, we all went on a cruise. I didn't work the last race, and I was not allowed to get on the internet. Now you know how hard that is for me because I'm a Mr. Facebooker here. I follow all y'all guys on Facebook, and I wasn't allowed to have my phone because, of course, that's minutes roaming. So I'm dying. I've got in that, and I'm trying everything I can. It never came across the TV at all on the cruise. And we got off that cruise, I think, the Wednesday morning before Thanksgiving, and I called my secretary at work. I was like, "Who won?" She goes, "You don't know who won?" And I was like, "I know. I'm probably the last man on earth. Just tell me who won." "Well, such and such won, but Tony Stewart won this." And I'm like, "How did that happen?" And, of course, she explained it all to me and everything. I was like, okay. So when you talk about it coming down to the wire, it really came down to the wire last year.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a while before you see something that close again.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just asking y'all about y'all's expertise. How close has it ever been before? I mean, wasn't it like 12 points?
Yeah, it's been down in the low 20 or less, but I don't think down into less than 10 though.
But to tie it, and then it has to go to win and everything else. That's awesome.
Well, we're still rooting for our buddy Timothy in the truck series.
Are you?
Yep.
Timothy Peters?
Yep.
Yeah. Very good guy. I tell you what, he's come a long way. He's done really good, and I got a feeling we'll see a lot more out of that gentleman when the season's over with. You know, the truck guys really put on one heck of a show.
Yeah, they did. That's
Exciting show. Wayne Allman has really got a good series that he's built there. He's been around the trucks for forever, and they have really come a long way since being introduced. And I tell you what, they put on some of the most exciting races that I've seen this year. And, you know, with all the divisions, you know, some of the rules of side-by-side racing and, you know, double file restarts, I think that's been good for the sport. It's always fun to see that. But, yeah, the trucks have really done a great job.
I tell you what, they need to take one from Langley, put out a cone rule and see what happens.
Cone rule?
Yeah.
You know, they did that out at Bowman. That was the first place I ever saw them do that. And they called the guy that went out there, they called him Cone Boy. He actually had shirts made up. And I'm just like, wow. I mean, these people would hoop and holler when he went out there to put that cone out there and pull it back and everything else. And that cone racing, that's some type racing.
Yeah, I tell you what was it? Lubno, let's see, I think the last time he raced or the time before. He had twin 20s, and he had a torque converter went out during practice, so he had to go back to the house, pull the engine, replace the torque converter, put it all back together, get back out of the track, got back out there. They had the first race. He got there at 7 o'clock, unloaded the car, jumped out on the track, had to start at the back, and in 20 laps had got all the way up to second.
You're kidding.
And and then the twin half, when they had the second race, started in second. Somebody got into him, cut down a tire. They had to come in, replace the tire. And this was after 7 laps. And in 13 laps, he moved from last all the way back up to fourth.
See, and there's another guy that you're talking about people from Langley and people who've been around the sport for a long time. Lugo's had a lot of talent. He's had numerous wins out there. I think he was one of the winningest drivers.
He is. He has 105 wins.
And, you know, I mean, it's all, and he's got talent just spilling over. He's done it in the Grand Stocks, he's won championships, everything else. And, you know, it's about being noticed, being able to go to that next step. And he's proven that he can drive.
Oh, yeah. Faith and I made a pledge that if we ever won the lottery, we're going to at least try to put him in something, in a truck or in a nationwide car, and let him go out there and try to at least run one of the races.
See what he can do. That'd be awesome. Tell you what, he's done, like, you know, he's done really good out at Langley. And that's the only place I've ever really seen him race at. I don't know if he's ever done Southampton or, you know, places like that, but you've raced Langley. You know how it is. It's hard to conquer Langley.
Yeah, he's gone to Kinley and gone there and raced there as well when they have some of the big races. And he used to go out there, you know, with the Grand Stock, and he has the older body style, and all the local guys there would have the newer body styles, you know, like late models and stuff like that. And he would run. He would be the fastest of everybody except maybe about 3 or 4 of the regular locals that are there all the time,
Right.
running the newer body style and the newer layout.
And you know, it's really surprising you said something about Southern National, Kinley, North Carolina. Another great short track. You know, they took a year, 2. I mean, how many years was it down? Maybe 3 years. And a group of investors came in, have got that place back going, going strong. I've heard a lot of good things about Southern National and the way the drivers really like that track. I've only been down there one time. Hopefully be able to go back. It was good racing out there, but I've heard they've been really putting on good shows with their late model, and the crowds.
Good deal.
Yeah, well, guys, I tell you what, I appreciate you always having me on.
Hey, you got a whole monopoly for the night. I'm gonna have to fuss at some people that were supposed to call in.
Well, it just feels like we're sitting around the living room talking.
It's nice. Hey, who needs the old timers? We can do it right here.
But you know, I'm gonna be in town. I know we always get together when I'm in town. We're gonna definitely have to do that. And, you know, I've got to see my favorite lady, Faith, when I come in. So I'm definitely gonna make time. I'm gonna be in on the 31st. So me and you'll have to definitely get together and get Matt and everybody, and definitely have to get together and have to stroll on over there and see Faith. Yeah,
Throw a big pizza party or something.
there you go. Well, man, you take care, guys, and thanks again for having me on, and I'll see y'all here in less than a month.
All right, Brian, have a good week, and thanks for being on with us.
Thank you.
That was really, had a good time.
Yeah.
Brian's always good. Of course, we've known him for a while. He's just like you said, when he's out at like Martinsville, because I'll go to Martinsville race, and he and I'll sit there in a front stretch, just chit chatting for a good couple of hours, and get to meet a lot of the other officials and things like that. Have a good time. But I need to call and fuss at Terry, because we're going to talk about some of the stuff coming up at the Knoxville Nationals. Anyway, she's probably figuring Central Time instead of Eastern Time.
Oops.
Anywho, also Langley Speedway. People asked me if I could announce this, that they said to take, and they're going to be bringing out backpacks, school backpacks, school supplies. They want to try to fill up the bus.
Oh, sweet.
And then donate those out as well. Well, everybody, we enjoyed having our cast of thousands on today. I feel bad. But hey, it is what it is. We all have fun. And we hope to see everybody next week. Oh, it's going to be a strange schedule next week, that's for sure. I'll have to get that posted up and everything else. And you won't have to be here. You can relax.
I'll probably go to sleep.
Not allowed.
Well, the way work's been lately,
Yeah. All right. See everybody next week. See ya.
later.
Later.
Hi, my name is Natalie Sather. I drive the 94 K&N Lady Eagle Safety Wear, Butler built seats, bell helmets, hooker harness seat belts, number 94 at South Boston Speedway. Be sure to listen to Let's Talk Racing TV.
I'm Sam Hunt, driving 42 car on the thing Let's Talk Racing.
Hey guys, I'm Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bain, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing.
Hi, I'm Robert Richardson Jr., driver of the number 23 Dodge Challenger for R3 Motorsports in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and you're watching Let's Talk Racing.
I'm Tony Peter, driver of the number 17 Toyota in the NASCAR Camp World Truck Series, and you're listening to Let's Talk Racing.
Let's Talk Racing is brought to you by PC Doctors, Computer Sales and Services. This doctor still makes house calls. And also Hampton Incredible Tees and Signs, both located at 1248 North King Street in Hampton, Virginia.